Welcome back, and we just showed you visuals of that violent post-match clashes between Mamelodi Sundowns and Esperance Sportive, the Tunis fans at Loftus Versfeld Stadium. Now, Siboniso Masango, a Sundowns supporter, risked his own safety to save a Tunisian fan. Now, this morning, we're joined by Siboniso himself to talk about this episode. Siboniso, a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Morning, Superior. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you, man. First of all, let's start with the match. I mean, it was an odd kickoff, and you're one of the thousands of supporters who made their way to the Loftus Versfeld Stadium to support Mamelodi Sundowns. How was the game? And just take us through the feeling of victory.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Quite amazing that in South Africa, at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, that stadium was almost full. So big ups to the fans, great match, great atmosphere.
Right, right. And then things turned sour. And, I can't fathom what was going through the mind of that Esperance fans that you were supporting. Just take us through what really happened, what led to the escalation of the tension.
I remember distinctly there was Esperance fans who were just upset at the result. They just started damaging property, and then there were some people who went to them and asked them to stop, and from there things just escalated. I remember once the Esperance fans were like running away, they essentially there was a mini stampede amongst themselves, which forced this particular fan to unfortunately be bundled over, and he just fell over the ledge.
And what really prompted you to jump into action and help him? Was it just instinct, or, I mean, was it close proximity to where he was?
In that moment, I can't really tell you what went through my mind. It was just probably adrenaline and instinct in that moment. I think everybody else was just there, just stunned with shock. And I was just, I guess it was instinct to just say, hey, someone could die right now, and I just ran.
I mean, anything could have happened. He was on the 5th floor of the stadium. That was like top tier level of this particular stadium.
Top level.
If you just look at the visuals and the angle at which this particular person was, I mean, anything worse would have happened. So how did the other fans around you react during that moment? Did anyone else come and assist you?
No, immediately as I got to him, I grabbed his forearm, and he immediately said to me, please, please don't let go. I have 3 kids. And I immediately started screaming to the other fans and said, hey, help, help, help. If you see in the video, I'm calling for help, and none of the Esperance fans still came to help. And in that moment, I realized it's just me and him, and we just managed to figure it out.
What obstacles did you face? I mean, what challenge did you face as you're trying to pull him up?
At first, I grabbed his forearm to just steady his grip on the railing because he was slipping. And so I told him, I'm going to pull you up by your backpack. And as I pull you up, I want you to try and lift up your knees so you can get your legs as close to the top as possible.
Okay.
And we just did that a couple of times until eventually he managed to get up.
Can you describe the role of the security? I mean, where was security? Because I don't see them in this video. They could have been, but I didn't see them in this video. Where were they? Were they armed? Did they come and help you? What is their role in that particular situation?
It shocks me really that a lot of the people in the stadium we were watching together with security. And I think perhaps it's because security does not have enough, it's just them in their hands. And they don't really have any weapons or anything like that. And thus security, there isn't much security can do if it's also just them in their hands. And they're dealing with fans who are armed.
And I think the role of the security at stadiums is a matter that we need a different platform to talk about. But do you think the security handled the situation very well, seeing that you are helping a fan and you are alone and you've got no other apparatus to help this particular fan?
I think the security, once the police showed up, the security was, then they really received the help that they needed. But with the aggression of those fans, I don't think a security with just their hands was able to do much in that situation.
And did you have any direct communication with the Esperance fans? What did he say to you afterwards?
After we got to safety at the back, him and I he embraced me and he started crying. And in that moment, I started crying with him, because you then start to realize that this man is literally saying you saved his life. And luckily, that was that moment. We both cried together.
And in your opinion, what do you think needs to be done to prevent violent clashes at stadiums and at football matches or any other sporting event?
I think generally, football fans have a tendency of just thinking about their allegiance to their teams.
Yes.
And I think we need to go back to remembering that sport is meant to unite us and not to divide us. And so football fans should just keep that in mind always, that sport is there to unite, not to divide.
And what would you say to the fans of both Mamelodi Sundowns and Esperance who were witnessing this particular incident or might have heard about it?
Well, next week Sundowns is playing Esperance again in the second leg, and you, as a Sundowns fan, you don't want to get to Tunisia and have them treat you like that. And so, to Esperance fans, to Sundowns fans, let's all be brothers and sisters.
Yes, yes. And has this experience changed your perspective about, you know, fan culture, about a stadium experience and so on?
Yes, yes. I do still think generally the safety of stadiums in South Africa is safe for the young person, for the child. I just think perhaps we could do better in terms of the security personnel that is at the stadium. And so, yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah, we certainly can do better in terms of security. And I suppose it's a role that every one of us can play in terms of maintaining that security. So what can fans and the clubs and the security personnel work together in terms of maintaining that security?
Yeah, sometimes it's always a breakdown in communication between the fans who are attending the stadium and the clubs, in terms of where to seat the fans. These fans are seated here, these fans are seated here. There's usually a breakdown in communication.
And Siboniso, do you think your actions could help in healing some of the divisions caused by this particular clash and in future clashes? I
would certainly hope so. There generally is a history of rivalry between the North African clubs and the South African clubs. And generally we have tense battles on the field, and we know their fans are very passionate, but we're just as passionate. And I think us being compassionate towards them can alleviate these tensions that we have.
All right, Siboniso, thank you so much for that act of heroism, and we do appreciate it, and we do appreciate your time and chatting to us this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was Siboniso Masango, a Mamelodi Sundowns fans who saved an Esperance fan's life during those violent clashes at the Loftus Versfeld Stadium over the past weekend. Let's now take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment.